Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news and transfer news show and story show going through all the leaks, the updates and more. And I have to say, for the international break, there's quite a few stories coming out today. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo speaking out about Manchester United. Apparently behind the scenes we're working on a Rabiot deal to bring in Rabiot this week. I would take that with a pinch of salt because no one reliable said we're working on Rabiot, but there is reports of Rabiot deal this week. There's been a leak and a story on Casemiro and that Man United have contributed to his poor form and that, the club blame Man United for Casemiro's poor form and all of this and that. There's some update and stories on Ten Hag. Ten Hag actually refusing to sign a new contract. So we always spoke about INEOS not giving Ten Hag a new contract. They just extended his contract, which was suggesting that INEOS didn't really want to work with Ten Hag. Apparently, actually, it was Ten Hag not wanting to work with INEOS. Could Ten Hag be looking away from United? INEOS have set out, what they want to see from Ten Hag and that Ten Hag has to follow this and that. And Ten Hag does let loose at Manchester United players after Brighton and Liverpool lost. It appears that Ten Hag is not happy of the United stars. So there's a lot going on inside Manchester United. There's a lot of stories, a lot of drama and all of that as well. But please do hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And I want to start by just having a look at the fixture list before we get into the news, before we get into the stories, because my question to you guys is, how are you feeling ahead of this fixture list? Because I think, I actually felt quite all right after the Brighton loss, but the Liverpool loss, how bad it is, makes me lose confidence. Now, for me, we've got to beat Southampton. If we can get a 5-1 win over Southampton or a 5-0 win over Southampton, that would be ideal. Get Rashford back on the score sheet, get Garnacho, Ahmad and Xerxes all on the score sheet, put some confidence into the attackers, bish, bash, boss. Barnsley, we better see Ugarte. If you don't start Ugarte versus Southampton because you believe he's not ready, okay, fairs. But we better see Ugarte versus bloody Barnsley on Tuesday, the 17th of September. We've then got Crystal Palace on the following Saturday. We've then got FC20 on the following Thursday. Tottenham on the Sunday, which is going to be a difficult game. FC Porto on the following Thursday, which will be difficult away from home, difficult team. Villa on the Sunday and then Brentford before going into the next international break. So for me, I think we should be able to beat Southampton, Barnsley, Palace and 20. We should be able to get 4 wins in a row. Tottenham and Man United is always a bit of a 50-50 game. I think that's a draw. Porto, I take a draw. Villa, we did beat them twice last season. Brentford seems to be a bogey team. So I don't know how you guys are feeling looking at the fixture list ahead of these upcoming games, but it's very mixed. We don't have anything outrageously hard, but I think those 3 games in a row, Tottenham, Porto away and Villa away, I think that's going to be difficult. I think the first 4 games we should win, but if we go and don't beat Southampton on Saturday, I tell you what, I am going to be worried. I am going to start losing my mind if we get to Saturday and we can't even beat Southampton. Oh, my head, guys, my head will be a little bit all over the place as well. Alex says, I'm relaxed. I wanted Erik Ten Hag to get a 3rd season, but I'm confident if the struggles continue, INEOS will take action. I agree, and we're going to talk about that. It has been said that Ten Hag is safe, but safe for now. INEOS will take action. They don't want to write off this season. They are more than willing to sack Ten Hag mid-season if things go wrong. There is some interesting reports on INEOS and what they'll be doing. So I'm going to actually dive into those stories in a second as well. Hi, Alice. Rabiot to Newcastle soon. I think, to be fair, Newcastle are more interested in Rabiot than us. I think Rabiot, if you want my honest opinion, I think Rabiot gets linked to United by his agent to try and get some more interest in him. But I don't actually think United are interested in Rabiot because that's what Romano said, that Rabiot is basically using us to try and get higher wages elsewhere. United will only show interest in Rabiot if he lowers his wages. But let's get into the latest news. Let's get into the latest stories about Ten Hag, Ten Hag's future, the situation, Ten Hag refusing a contract, what has been said and by whom. So, first of all, this was said by the Muppeteers. The most important thing the board want to see from Erik Ten Hag is to see a team playing a very specific style of football, not specific in terms of club selecting. So they don't care about who he plays. They just want to see football, a pattern of play, a system where they say, this is what he's trying to do, this is what he's trying to implement, and we're this and that play away from this being a really good system that's working. Now, the Muppeteers went into some detail. They said that United had talks with Rabiot in June, and there has been interest in Rabiot, but Rabiot wants significant money, and that Rabiot to United is being pushed on the player side. It's been said that Rabiot is pushing for a United move, but he wants significant money, and unless he lowers his wages, essentially, United are not that interested in moving for Rabiot. It was then said the next few weeks will be important for Ten Hag. Ten Hag and United couldn't agree terms over a new deal. Now, this is where it gets interesting. They talk a little bit about Rabiot, but they say it's coming from the player side, it's coming from Rabiot's side, it's coming from Rabiot's agent side, which does not surprise me. Rabiot's mum probably using United to stir up some interest in him and maybe get a little bit of more money. But what is interesting here is they're saying that Ten Hag and United couldn't agree terms over a new deal, and they talk about that in a bit more things. He rejected certain things INEOS suggested. INEOS wants to see United playing a specific style of play. The club aren't sitting down and telling Ten Hag how to play. The club wants to see a style of play being built, and style is more important than wins and losses. Now, what is interesting is that Erik Ten Hag actually rejected a new deal from United. So Erik Ten Hag got his contract extended. INEOS stayed, and Erik Ten Hag got a 1-year contract extension. That was it, which means this time next year he will be in the final year of his contract if he is here. Now, apparently, Erik Ten Hag was rejecting certain things INEOS suggested and did not come to a conclusion over a new deal and just extended his contract. Now, that's interesting because what I think, and this is just my opinion, this isn't necessarily fact, but what I think is Erik Ten Hag's probably had a contract on the table that said, you will be Manchester United manager, but we will do this, we will do that, we will do this. And he had a lot of power taken away. And I think Erik Ten Hag was peed off about the summer that they spent 2 weeks talking to Tuchel and felt disrespected. I think that he said, you know what, I'm in a position because you've disrespected me and your main candidates to replace me have gone away. So I'm in a position now where I'm not going to sign a new deal. I want my current deal extended. You know, that's what I want. And INEOS might say, well, you know what, we don't have 100% backing in this guy. We did want Tuchel. Maybe extending his contract makes sense. Because INEOS have probably proposed a new contract to Ten Hag, but that new contract will be, Ten Hag, you have to do this, you have to do that. You know, we're going to choose who you sign. And one thing about Erik Ten Hag is he likes control. If you look at Erik Ten Hag's interviews and his conditions for being a Manchester United manager, he wants to say over every transfer, he wants significant power. INEOS want to take a lot of that power away from Erik Ten Hag, which puts Manchester United in a position where actually Ten Hag is sort of thinking, well, actually, they're going to take control away from me if I sign a new deal because I'm signing a new deal for them to take control away from me. I can extend my current contract and still have power. And I think that's what it is. And INEOS said, well, you know what, we're not 100% convinced on Ten Hag. Do we really want to be giving him a new deal? I think something like that has happened because I think at the end of the day, Erik Ten Hag was annoyed with INEOS. Erik Ten Hag was annoyed with the lack of communication for 2 months at Manchester, for 2 weeks at United, for 3-4 weeks at United post FA Cup final. The lack of communication where it just kept coming out that he was going to be sacked. Apparently, they made a decision to sack him before the FA Cup final. That got leaked, and the only reason he wasn't sacked is they couldn't bring Tuchel in, and Ten Hag was aware of that. They told Ten Hag apparently something along those lines. So I think the relationship was a bit iffy, and I think they then agreed, you know what, this extension is fine. You get what you want, we get what we want, la-di-la. But INEOS is saying, you know, just because his contract's been extended doesn't mean he's safe. Just because we backed him in the summer doesn't mean he's safe. He needs to now start showing a specific way of football. He needs to now, you know, show us how he's going to play. It's not about the wins, it's not about the losses, it's about, are you building something? You know, Arteta kept his job after coming 8th, 8th and 5th, but every season under Arteta, you could see the slow improvements and the slow progress on Arsenal's side and how the style of play was improving. And I think that's what Man United are looking for and looking at as well. Quality players, but wages would have to be reasonable to even consider Rabiot. I agree with Alex there as well. I like Rabiot, but unless he's going to lower his wages, I think United will move away from that as well. Ten Hag will have someone watch over him during the season, with him need to take advice from his staff who did offer advice but was ignored. Now he has to, or he's going to be gone. He's going to have to listen. He's going to have to change things up. I like Ten Hag, but one, his press conferences, and two, his stubbornness could, you know, his press conferences means he's going to lose the fans because he doesn't come across the best in that. And his stubbornness means he's trying things that aren't working again and again and again. And that's going to cause problems. So I think with Ten Hag, he's got to make some changes. And apparently, you know, Ruud van Nistelrooy is there to be interim if it goes wrong with Ten Hag. So let's talk about that bit of the story. So what else has been said in regards to Ten Hag, the story, his future buy, of course? This has all come from the United Muppeteers via United Red Report. The club wants to see a style that can lead to long-term success. Club didn't want Amrabat because he represented a style INEOS didn't want to see. Brighton, Newcastle City type games. United want to play how Klopp played at Liverpool. Ten Hag is poor at setting up United in that way. Ten Hag saying that Ugarte will take weeks and months to get fitness is BS, and that Ugarte is extremely fit, and people in the club think Ugarte is ahead of some of our players in terms of fitness. So what else they're saying is that, you know, the club want to see a style of play. The club were against signing Amrabat, but we know that Ten Hag actually wanted Amrabat, and the club want to see a style of play that kind of mirrors a little bit about how Klopp played at Liverpool. That Ten Hag is currently poor at setting up that way. But although Ten Hag was saying Ugarte would take months, apparently Ugarte is ready. He's fit now. I mean, he played 6 games in the Copa America. He started 2 games for Uruguay. There's no doubt in my mind that Ugarte might not be 100% sharp, but I don't think Ugarte's months away. Maybe he's a week away, but I don't think he's a month away at all. Now, interestingly, it was also added that INEOS do not want to waste the season, that Ten Hag has to improve. Ten Hag didn't want Ugarte if it meant losing McTominay, which led to the delay in the Ugarte deal, which is why I have a bit of a fear around the Ugarte signing. Why is Ten Hag saying it's going to take months to play Ugarte, but he threw Antony in the deep end and Antony started the first game of the season for United when he was fit and available? Why is it going to take months for Ugarte? Is it because he wanted to keep McTominay? Is it because Ugarte's not his signing? Now, interestingly, they're saying there's a decent chance Ruud would become interim if Ten Hag was sacked, and that INEOS didn't know what to do with the women's team when they joined. It improved when Dan Ashworth joined, and Tuchel essentially turned United down. It would be difficult to go back to the situation. So if we're going to round up everything that's been said and everything that the Muppeteers have broken down in their recent video, the Muppeteers are basically saying many things. They're saying INEOS do not want to waste the season. Erik ten Hag has got to improve. If he doesn't improve, Ruud van Nistelrooy could generally become the interim manager. It was said that obviously Tuchel rejected United and Ten Hag rejected a new contract. Now, there is reports going about that while if Ten Hag is sacked, Tuchel's the favourite because that is who he wanted. Tuchel then rejected a deal at INEOS, it broke down, and that Vivel is still at United, and that if something does happen to Ten Hag, they will be looking at Nagelsmann. That is what's been said. Right now, if something happens to Ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy becoming interim manager is extremely likely, but they will start to look at someone like Nagelsmann for next season if something happens with Erik ten Hag, because the relationship between Erik ten Hag and INEOS probably isn't the best. Despite Dan Ashworth and Omar Brada publicly backing Ten Hag, we know that deep down, INEOS weren't the biggest fans of Ten Hag staying. They didn't 100% back him. They don't 100% believe in him. He's got to turn it around or he could go, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff as well. And we know that Ten Hag probably doesn't have the best relationship with INEOS because of what happened in the summer, because INEOS want to take away his power. He didn't agree in a new deal at United, and you can kind of see why as well. I will talk about Ronaldo. I will talk about the Casemiro stories in a second. Guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I am 4 subscribers away from 92.7k. So if you're watching right now and not subscribed, it will really help out the channel. I go live every single evening around 5:30 UK time, and then I do a video every single morning around 9 AM at the moment. And if any breaking news comes out, you obviously get bonus content. Sometimes I go live a little bit later. Sometimes I do videos a little bit later, depending on the day. But I'm trying to do one piece of short form sort of content, an 8 to 12 minute video, normally around 10 minutes, and then a live stream between 30 to 45 minutes, a little bit of a longer form content as well. So I hope you enjoy that and let me know what you think on that. But I do want to dive back into some news. I do want to dive back into some stories. There is a lot of news on Rabiot United. Not that I honestly believe a lot of Rabiot United news, but we will cover that story in a second as well. This is BS. We also how happy Erik ten Hag was when we saw Ugarte. I don't think it's BS, but I think maybe it's exaggerated. I think Ten Hag wants Ugarte, but I think he didn't want McTominay sold. That's what I think the situation was. But I think he was told that McTominay's got 1 year left on his deal. We're going to lose him for free if we don't sell him. McTominay's got to go. I think that was more the case. Major questions have to be asked if Erik ten Hag genuinely preferred Scott Singer over Ugarte coming in, and I agree, because we needed a number 6, not another number 8. I think Erik ten Hag probably ouch. I think Erik ten Hag probably wanted both, if you want my honest opinion on that as well. Erik ten Hag says Ugarte is weeks away from being fit, yet he's playing for country and is amazing. Why lie to us fans? I think that's the biggest worry. Why was he saying that he could be weeks, if not months, away from being fit? You know, I get maybe he won't start him versus Southampton, but you've got to start him versus Burnley. If you wanted to build fitness, you've got to see him involved. I think, you know, that months away thing was a weird comment. Is it because he wanted McTominay and didn't want Ugarte? If that story's true, could that be why he was saying Ugarte is a long way away from being fit? Who knows? The thing is, the media will often talk a load of crap, and we'll just have to wait and see. But I think after that Casemiro performance, Ugarte may be playing for United sooner rather than later as well. The INEOS bought Ugarte. The thing is, Erik ten Hag wasn't the biggest fan of giving up power, and obviously INEOS signing players. Hence why he probably didn't sign that new deal at Manchester United if he was offered one. So there is a fear that because INEOS suggested Ugarte and Ten Hag didn't suggest it, could Ugarte get the Donny van der Beek treatment? That is the big question. But guys, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're 4 away from 92.7k. Let's get back into news. Let's get back into the stories, because there's a lot to break down in today's show. Ten Hag wants United to have more progression, telling his players they need to protect the ball better to control games. Ten Hag has been drumming into his players to be more positionally aware, a problem that resurfaced at Brighton when João Pedro was left unmarked at the far post to head in a 95th minute winner. The United manager has been showing the squad videos to highlight the importance of good positioning in cutting out silly mistakes and making unnecessary goals. So it has been said, Ten Hag wants United to have more possession, telling his players they need to protect the ball better to control games. Ten Hag has been drumming into his players to be more positionally aware. We saw what happened with João Pedro and Brighton, and the United manager has been showing the squad videos to highlight the importance of good positioning. Now, I will say this. There's lots wrong with Ten Hag's coaching. There's lots wrong with the United system. There's lots that Ten Hag needs to change to improve the club. But I don't think Ten Hag in his right mind would have coached United or set up United to leave 3 players unmarked at the back post versus Brighton so João Pedro can score a goal like that. He absolutely didn't. There's questions around when Casemiro and Maino lose the ball in the Liverpool game. Why is the rest of our midfield so far away and why is our defence completely exposed? Because of that, that's on Ten Hag tactically. But us, losing the ball, our positioning in terms of set pieces, that is, that needs to improve. But I don't think Ten Hag is telling the team to set up like that as well. And I will give Ten Hag credit. I will give Ten Hag a little bit of slack for the goal conceded versus Brighton, the Brighton loss, because other than the substitutions that were bad, I actually think that Ten Hag set the team up to win that game versus Brighton. We didn't take our chances, we didn't stay on side, and the players let them down versus Brighton because of their positional sense. I think Ten Hag set that game up for a win. We're going to make improvement. Adrian, Rabiot, Toby Collier, correct me if I'm mistaken. I think Toby Collier and Adrian Rabiot added to our midfield definitely give us some legs and give us some more options, but we don't know about Adrian Rabiot to United. I don't believe a lot of the Adrian Rabiot to United stories. I think Adrian Rabiot's agent is putting out stories that he's close to joining United and Rabiot to United this and that just to get him higher wages or a better deal. I do feel that United are being used as well. Clearly, this squad is not ready for certain tactical progress yet. Have to keep more tight and compact for now. Exactly. Ten Hag's definitely going to have to change things tactically, but I think we just got to learn how to keep things more tight and all of that as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, and share the video. Erik ten Hag does not be able to get his message across to players on a regular basis. There was a leak coming out that Erik ten Hag wasn't the best at communicating with his players, but all these leaks come out in the international break. I'm going to get into a Casemiro leak in a minute. I'm going to say this. Every single leak that comes out always comes out in the international break that Ten Hag can't talk to his players. Ten Hag's training isn't working. The club are angry that Mason Mount isn't selling enough shirts. Casemiro's had a fallout here. The players apparently bitching about Højlund. All of these BS stories, they come out from Luckhurst and they come out in the international break. And it's such a faff as well. Such a faff. When I say faff, I mean it's just BS. I just think it's the international debate. They need something to write, and then Samuel Luckhurst writes a hit piece on Rasmus Højlund, and we're getting a piece on Casemiro. I do think a lot of the stories in international break are BS, but there has been stories in international break about Ten Hag not controlling players and not being able to control bigger names as well. Has to be a gradual tactical progression over the season, 100%. I'm with INEOS on this. It's not about wins and loss. I want to win games. But if we are losing and we're playing well and we're unlucky and we're seeing tactical progression, I can sit with the loss and say this is part of the process. If we are winning and playing crap and then losing and playing crap, where is the process? Whereas if we're winning and losing and playing good in both the winning and losses, I can see the progress. I need to see the process. I need to not necessarily see results. That will come because if you're playing good football, sustainably the results will come. We need to see progress from Ten Hag. We need to see results. But apparently he's urging his players to be nastier, more aggressive in front of goal and avoid conceding more soft goals. He wants United to have more possession, telling his players they need to protect the ball better. And Erik ten Hag has been showing the squad videos to highlight the importance of good positioning and cutting out silly mistakes and unnecessary goals, is what's been said. So that's what's been said on Ten Hag. That's what's been said on his future. I now want to get into some news on Rabiot as well. Someone said Ten Hag wouldn't have coached them to position themselves like that versus Brighton, to be fair to him, but Liverpool was on Ten Hag, and I agree with that as well. We need to be ready for the Southampton game. Hopefully we do set up fine for the Southampton game. Someone said luck worse, and he said Samuel Luckhurst is always making up crap, isn't he? But let's dive into this. So what has been said on Rabiot and what has been said on Manchester United's midfield plans as well? Manchester United are currently finding a move for Adrian Rabiot too expensive. Talks are ongoing, says Sports BO. Manchester United and Newcastle are both eyeing a move for Rabiot on a free transfer. Manchester United have held discussions about Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton's and Middlesbrough's Hayden Hackney as potential midfield targets. So, we spoke about the Adam Wharton Hayden Hackney story earlier today. That's something that United are looking at in 2025. Now, what United could be looking at now is Rabiot. Now, Mirror and Sports PO are in the Tier 2, Tier 3 category, so they're not Tier 1. But apparently United are eyeing up Rabiot. Apparently Man United have had discussions with Rabiot this week. But what we're hearing from more reliable sources is Rabiot to United is being pushed on Rabiot's side and not necessarily Man United's side. He's almost using United to try and get him a better deal elsewhere, to try and, get more interest in him and all of that. Now, Man United liked Rabiot, they discussed it, but unless he's going to lower his wages, they're not interested in doing a deal for Rabiot. Newcastle could make a move for Rabiot. And I think unless Rabiot is willing to lower his wages, which he might, because I think he thought he would have got a move quite easily in the summer and he hasn't, I think that, he's not going to go to Manchester United as well. Do you believe the stories that Barcelona are interested in Bruno? Barcelona can't afford Bruno Fernandes, so I don't think so, if I'm being honest, but I think he'd be a good addition for them as well. Xerxes is being robbed of a good career. Look, Xerxes had a very good game for the Netherlands. I think he's been good for United. I don't think he was great in the Liverpool game, but he had those 2 chances. I've seen a lot of positives in Xerxes. I think he'll be a success at United, but we need to utilise him properly and play him in his best role as well. The players are not responding to Erik ten Hag being strict. They were in his first season, but they're not anymore. And I think, is that down to the players being stubborn? Is that down to Erik ten Hag's communication? I don't know. But Erik ten Hag needs to find a way to communicate his ideas better with the United squad to get it through as well. But is that on him or is that on the United squad? You never know. If Rabiot lowers his wages, his mobility and physicality would suit the Premier League. I'm open to Rabiot if he lowers his wages and actually wants to come. But I just feel like he's waiting for a good deal and he just wants a nice paycheck, if I'm going to be honest. I have concerns over him and his mum's sort of intentions as well. I'm waiting for Jason Wilcock's blueprint on tactical management. Apparently, Jason Wilcock gave ten Hag instructions about how to play possession-based football. But apparently, Erik ten Hag read that story and was so annoyed that story came out because it's not true and that the way we play is completely on ten Hag. No one's telling him how to play. But there was reports that INEOS wanted to write up a way for ten Hag to play, but ten Hag is not interested in doing that or following that through as well. But I think, the Rabiot situation's one to watch, but I just generally don't see United going for Rabiot. So let's talk about the Casemiro leak, which has, of course, come from no other than Samuel Luckhurst. Teammates feel Casemiro's decline at Manchester United has come as a consequence of the club's own struggles. Dressing room sources say Casemiro is a 5-time Champions League winner with Real Madrid. Didn't sign up for a second season to attempt to qualify for the Champions League, which proved to be beyond United last term. So what's being said about Casemiro is that Casemiro's decline at Manchester United has come as a consequence of the club's own struggles, and dressing room sources say that he's a 5-time Champions League winner and he didn't sign up for a second season to attempt to qualify for the Champions League, which provided to be beyond United last term. So what's being said in regard to Casemiro is it's probably Casemiro's team briefing to someone that Casemiro is not playing his best, but the team setup isn't helping him, which, while Casemiro's been awful, the team setup is not helping Casemiro. Ten Hag is hanging Casemiro out to dry. Casemiro needs to do better because I think Ugarte and Maino and Collier have all done a better job than him in the same role. But that role that Ten Hag is putting Casemiro in exploits all of his weaknesses, and we need to fix that up. We need to find Casemiro's best role. Maybe that could become as a number 8 now he's later in his career. When sources are saying he's a 5-time Champions League winner, he wasn't here to try and help us qualify for the Champions League the second time. Casemiro's not happy. He got subbed off for Toby Collier, a 20-year-old kid. He's not happy about it. But all these leaks coming out about Erik ten Hag and about Casemiro, blaming Erik ten Hag and the system on Casemiro's decline, and that's a little bit annoying. Casemiro is declining. He's in a naturally decline, but I do think the tactics don't help Casemiro. But I also think that Maino, Collier have all done a better job in the same tactics, and that Casemiro definitely needs to step up as our most experienced player. Thank you very much, Ray, for the super chat. To be honest, whose club board draws up how you play, that's the coach's job, not the board. I agree. I absolutely agree. I can't see Wilcox drawing up how we play. I think he can make suggestions, but I agree as well. We reverted to this isolated 6 again and again, and it's been a disaster. No matter who plays, there has to be a stable pivot. I agree. I think Casemiro, when he was playing with Fred in a stable pivot, worked well. I think this sort of one player in the pivot 4-3-3 that we're trying to mould to is just making it difficult as well. We will talk about Højlund. I really, really like Højlund. I cannot wait till he's back. We have got some updates on his injury as well. We were better defensively when Collier came on. We were, but I don't know if that's because Liverpool's just sort of thought they won the game. Let's take their foot off the gas. But we definitely looked better when Collier came on. But I don't know if that's because Liverpool took their foot off the gas. a little bit as well. There has been a little bit of a setback in Shaw and Højlund's injury, but I wouldn't say it's much of a setback if I was being honest. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, and share the video as we get into the next news and the next story. So what is the latest on Højlund? What is the latest in regards to Manchester United and the injury front at the moment? Before I do that, I just want to get to this comment. Casemiro is also clearly on the wane. If there were any takers this summer, he would have gone 100%. We wanted to sell Casemiro this summer. INEOS wanted to sell Casemiro this summer, and they thought Saudi were going to come in, but they didn't as well. Erik ten Hag needs someone to pin all this blame on. Yes, Casemiro is shy, but Erik ten Hag is using him to escape criticism. I get what you're trying to say. I don't think he's using him on purpose to escape criticism, but I think Casemiro is one of the reasons that he is escaping criticism, and I think Casemiro needs to do better, but I also think that Erik ten Hag is hanging him out to dry a little bit as well. Casemiro is quite good when it's a close game. I don't know, because he gives the ball away. Casemiro will be good in a game where he doesn't need a lot of legs. But let's talk about Højlund. Let's talk about the injuries at United. It was said that United will not rush Rasmus Højlund back from injury, even if that means keeping him on the sideline for longer than the initial 6-week time frame. And Højlund is set to be assessed again this week ahead of a trip to Southampton on Saturday, but he will not be pressed back into action too soon, with plans in place to ease him back in gently. And that's probably a good idea, because I think with Højlund, we sometimes rushed him back a little bit when he came back from injury because Martial was injured and we didn't have a striker. I think United we've got Xerxes now, we need Højlund back. They probably want Højlund back from injury because he'll probably start over Xerxes when both is fully fit. But they're not going to rush him because they know that they've got Xerxes there that can do a job. They don't want to risk any setbacks in his injury because they know that he's going to be a really important player for us. I think people underestimate how good Højlund is, and I think Højlund had a much better season than people give him credit for last year. But Højlund will be back soon. Højlund probably back in the next 3 weeks. Shaw probably back in the next 3 weeks. Lindelof probably not back for another month. Not that he's really going to play. And then the only big injury is Ugarte, but he's expected back next month as well. Actually, he's expected back end of October, so he's got another couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll be seeing Euro, Shaw, and Højlund back on the pitch soon, because I think all three of them get in our strongest lineup as well. But what other stories have come about? So there was a lot of rumours about Antony to Turkey, with Fenerbahce linked to him. But it has been said by Samuel Lutkes that Fenerbahce manager Jose Mourinho has no interest in signing Antony, and that Antony is keen to feature more regularly, but his preference is to stay at Man United, even if Fenerbahce make an offer. So Fenerbahce have no interest in signing Antony, but even if they did, apparently Antony's focus is on staying at United and improving his career, but he wants game time. AKA Manchester United gave him such high wages that he won't get that if he leaves United, so he's probably open to stay at United and look for the wages. I get that Antony will probably want his United career to work. He's really hoped his United career would work, but I think he clearly wants to stay. Is that for the money, or is that because he really thinks his United career can work? I think it's a bit of both. I like the confidence. I like that he believes he can turn it around, but he has been bad, and I would have sold him as well. It was said that United scouts were in attendance at the Spain 21s game versus Scotland this weekend to watch Sevilla's Juan Luis Sanchez. And Manchester United have been looking at a lot of players from Sevilla. They've been looking at Patrick Dorgu. They've been looking at a lot of young fullbacks, a lot of young players in the market right now, a lot of midfielders as well. So it's definitely one to watch. And then you have Cristiano Ronaldo coming out saying we cannot control things at some point in our life sometimes, but what is done is already done. I repeat, I still love United. He sort of spoke about the Piers Morgan interview, how he can't control that. It's done, but he still always loves Manchester United, is what not Casemiro, what Cristiano is saying. Do you think Antony's our worst signing ever? I'd say Sancho, because he refused to play for the club, but I think Antony's our worst player as well. But Sancho refused to play as well. When's Luke Shaw back? Hopefully after international break. Someone said Luke Shaw's doing double shifts at McDonald's. Luke Shaw will be back after international break, I'm sure of it as well. Antony would have made his intentions to go earlier in the window if he wanted to leave. Exactly. He wanted to stay, he wanted the money. Maybe he believed he could turn it around as well, but he wasn't going anywhere, Antony. When you give Antony money that he wouldn't even make half of at any other club, there's no way he's going to leave as well. 100%. 100%. But guys, please do that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I do want to round up a couple of the stories for everybody that has just joined the chat. These are the fixtures coming up. Manchester United's most important thing they want to see is not necessarily results from Ten Hag, but it's a style of play. What is Ten Hag trying to do? Are they playing good football? Can they see progress in Ten Hag's style of play? That's what INEOS want to see. There has been talks of Rabiot, but it depends on the money. It was said that the next few weeks will be important for Ten Hag, and they're not going to sack him yet, but the next few weeks could potentially form an agreement with him being sacked, and that United and Ten Hag couldn't agree over terms for a new deal. and that Ten Hag actually rejected the INEOS deal, and INEOS want to see United playing this very specific style of football, which could be why Ten Hag rejected the deal, because he wants to play his style of football. It was said that clubs aren't sitting down telling Ten Hag to play solely. The club isn't sitting down telling Ten Hag to play solely. The club wants to see a style of play being built, and the club want to see progress more than wins and losses, which makes sense. The club can lead. They want to see a club that can lead us to long-term success. They don't want Amrabat here because they don't think he's necessarily progressed. They were trying to go for quality, not quantity signings as well, is what is being said. But I'll leave you guys to read up on this and all the stories as well. There is some interesting stories on Arda Geller, Ruud van Nistelrooy, McTominay and more. But I'm going to wrap up today's live show here, guys. So please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.